Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we are so pleased to have in the studio with us today. This is one of the iconic organizations in San Diego County, Mama's Kitchen, and the CEO, Eva Matthews. How you doing, Eva?
I'm well. Thank you for having me, Drew.
Well, we're honored to have you. You folks have been frequent guests on our Spotlight show and always have great content. Be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to the longtime CEO, just retired, Alberto Cortez. How's he doing?
He's doing well. He's doing really well. And I think we had a nice overlap of a couple of weeks.
Beautiful.
And that was just a wonderful opportunity for him to pass on some critical information and knowledge, but also for us to have a chance to work together. And we even had an opportunity to do a route of delivery together on his last day, which was really lovely.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. I'm joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She's the executive director of San Diego Writers Inc., celebrating their 20th anniversary this year. How you doing, Kristen?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I know you have a question for Eva right out of the gate.
I do. I thought that we could just get right into what the mission of the organization is for those out there that don't know.
Absolutely. Mama's Kitchen believes that everyone is entitled to the basic necessity of life, nutritious food. That is fundamentally what we are all about.
Nice. Excellent.
And, you do this by so much care with the people you deliver the food to. Mm-hmm. How many meals you do during the year? Zillions.
Well, we are on track to reach almost 1 million meals delivered to households in San Diego this year. It is really a demand that keeps growing. We know that the need is even greater than what we are offering right now.
Right, and you literally, the backbone, the bread and butter, the core, and everything in between are the volunteers that drive the meals to the folks, correct?
Absolutely. We have over 800 volunteers who basically make the heart of the organization, and I think that without them, we could not do what we do.
Yeah, and they're doing it on their own dime. Because they're using their own vehicles, their own gas, their own maintenance, and everything that goes with that, correct?
We have been able to provide support for volunteers who need it when it comes to the expenses that relate to delivery.
Right.
So that has been a change over time, and we are always welcoming new volunteers who are interested in taking on some of those delivery routes. It is an incredibly meaningful activity, and the volunteers I've met who've been doing it for a long time, some of them for decades,
that's right,
are just completely dedicated to the mission and continue to do this work.
Right. So what is the threshold? In other words, to have a meal delivered, is it a income level? Is it also you work with folks who had some health issues as well, correct?
Fundamentally, we have not turned away any client who has been eligible for the service.
Right.
And our focus is really on those individuals who are facing critical illness, including HIV, cancer, kidney disease, congestive heart failure, and type 2 diabetes. So those are the individuals that we are trying to reach. And we do not have an income restriction because we know that, a person's finances can change on a dime when there's a critical illness involved.
Right. Exactly. And will you deliver meals to a person twice a day, 3 times a day? How does that work?
Those are great questions. So we deliver to our clients twice per week.
Oh, per week. Okay, thank you.
Per week, right. But we are providing all of the nutrition for the day breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. So they are just bundled so that they can be eaten over time, and they are food safe and delicious.
Right. Okay. And, I know Kristen has some questions to you before we get to hers. Talk about how important the nutritious value of the meals you provide are. That's another thing you hang your hat on.
Absolutely. And fundamentally, we care about making sure that those who are facing critical illness have proper nutrition. So our meals, our lunches and dinners are scratch made. We have an amazing kitchen team who are bringing in about 2,000 pounds of fresh produce a week,
Wow.
for example, to produce these meals. And they're absolutely beautiful. Paired with the meals themselves, we have nutrition counseling. And I would say that is also a very critical piece of what we do. And so our clients are able to receive the meals, the counseling, and they're changing the way they're approaching nutrition for the long term, not just the period that they're receiving our services.
Yeah, we're chatting with Eva Matthews. She is the CEO of Mama's Kitchen. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast. We're now in our 18th year. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, broadcasting from the Mission Fed studios here in Scripps Ranch and Mission Fed for more than 6 decades. Have been doing just great things in our community. Kristen, I know you have some more questions for Eva.
Always, yes. So this is, you've been with Mama's Kitchen about 2 months now, yes? So I wondered if you could speak a little bit to your background and what made you excited about getting involved with the organization in this capacity.
Absolutely. So before I came to Mama's Kitchen, I was with a local federally qualified health center, a community clinic called Family Health Centers of San Diego, and I was there for 9 years. During that time, I had an opportunity to really understand the community need for healthcare and the community supports that really contribute to the overall health of our community. So it was an amazing opportunity to move into an area that I know is so fundamentally important to community health in Mama's Kitchen. Before I was at Family Health Centers of San Diego, I was at the University of Arizona for a number of years as well, focused on community-based research around health behavior change. Mm-hmm. So I take little threads from each of my experiences and try to bring them over into this new area. And I think that what I'm really interested in doing is applying what I've learned over the years, and particularly the importance of really looking at how the need changes over time and what our clients are needing over time to improve the services and to reach more people.
Great.
You know, obviously working at family health centers for 9 years, you said, or something like that. Mm-hmm. You were very familiar with Mama's Kitchen, of course.
Of course.
And a lot of the other nonprofits on it. So when you got the job and now you're working with Alberto, a nice little transition, was there anything that's surprised you? Or, no, I've known Mama's Kitchen for a while, this makes sense, or, boy, I didn't realize X. Anything jump out at you?
You know what jumped out at me the most was the entire team and the volunteer infrastructure and the way that everyone works so beautifully together and cares for one another so deeply. I think that, there are instances on a nearly daily basis where I can see people jumping in to help one another. And it is that set of values that I think has set this organization apart for many years, because they have continued to, as you say, be an iconic member of our community. And so that stood out to me. It didn't surprise me, but it really stood out and just reinforced why I was there.
Well, it was interesting. I was honored to be on the Susan Komen board, and every once in a while we'd go to other nonprofits and see what they do. We went to Mama's Kitchen, and that's an unbelievable operation. If you have a chance to see what they do, and you can imagine with 1 million meals they do, this operation is spot on. And to what Eva was saying, if there's a little kink in the armor, they got someone jumping in to fix that kink.
That's
because
amazing.
anything that's broken on that chain is going to sit there. Okay, well that made that meal delayed, which means that delayed and means 2 weeks down the road. So you folks are it's an amazing operation. And you know what? I think you sort of addressed this too. The passion of the volunteers are just, off the charts. And maybe you can address this as well. We used to talk about this quite a bit with, Alberto and some of the folks, colleagues you work with, like Meals on Wheels and all that business, some great people there too. Is when you get to work with some of these people, a lot of them are seniors, right? And they are housebound, okay? And maybe the only contact they may have is you guys delivering your food. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. Even in my recent experience delivering with Alberto the day that we went together,
right?
I think that we went to 17 households, and only 2 of them was there a second person present. So some of our clients do face isolation. And, I just this past week, I was looking at some of the messages we were receiving from clients. And there's one who was thanking us for the birthday card and the cupcake that they received on their birthday. And, after Valentine's Day, we were receiving messages and saying, without this, I might not have gotten a Valentine from anyone, and so we are a touch point for our clients, and they can rely on us and the volunteers being there twice a week, and that's meaningful. They feel connected to the organization.
And I know one of the challenges, before talking to some of the folks at Mama's Kitchen with the volunteers is, I'd love to spend some time with you. Unfortunately, I got to make another delivery. And so if I'm getting in there talking about the State of the Union debate, which I guess I'm, it's top of my mind and all that business, or something else, they have to move on to the next delivery, correct?
They do. We have a delivery window, and our clients very patiently will be present during that delivery window. So we do try to keep things moving. But I'll be honest, it is really hard not to want to stay and chat. And I've heard from one person when I was delivering who just wanted to share that he had, after all this time, gotten his diabetes under control. He went from, an A1C of over 16 down to 6.4, which is normal. And he had lost weight. And his doctor said to him, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm still with Mama's Kitchen." And he was just so flabbergasted by the outcome that he had said, just stick with it, just stay with it. And so he went on to tell me all of the 16 meals that were his favorites as well.
Well, I'm hoping his doctor now shouts out Mama's Kitchen from the rooftop on this. When we come back from break, Eva, we'll chat more about all the cool things you're doing. I know Kristen has a whole bunch more questions. We always save time on the second half of our Spotlight shows to ask you what our listeners can do to support your efforts. Donations, volunteering, meals, whatever the case may be, and our listeners are known to come up and step up to the plate and do some things. So don't be shy in asking. And of course, as a CEO, you're never shy on asking for stuff. Absolutely. We'll be right back with Eva Matthews. She is the CEO of Mama's Kitchen. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, continuing to do great things for 6 decades, joined by my very cool co-host, Kristen Fogo, Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing wonderful things for us folk in San Diego County for more than 6 decades, joined by the CEO of Mama's Kitchen, Eva Matthews, and my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc., celebrating their 20th anniversary year. Kristen, I know you have some more questions for Eva.
I do, yeah. So I know it's, you're in your second month and you're, trying to get the lay of the land. I've been with my organization for 11 years. I can't imagine going to a new one. I think I would just be walk around lost for 6 months. But what, if any, kind of big, audacious goals do you have? Or what are you kind of looking forward to?
Wonderful question. I took this position in part because I know that the need for our services is greater than we know and greater than what we're currently doing. So my goal is to create sustainable growth so that we're able to meet community need. Your listeners may or may not be aware, but the whole conversation around food as medicine is getting very big. Yep. It is at a national level now, and the priorities are changing around this. And we've been, doing this work for over 33 years, and we are well positioned to be this community's provider of medically tailored meals and nutrition education far into the future. But we can't do it alone. We are San Diego's largest provider of home delivered meals, nonprofit provider, and the only provider of medically tailored meals in the county. So we want to continue to grow. We want to do it in a way that is responsible, sustainable, but we can't do it alone. And it is very important for us to continue to engage with our volunteers and supporters to get there.
Tell me a little bit more about medically tailored. So is that like a personalized approach? Is that kind of just knowing that your community has certain health challenges and trying to talk to me more about that?
Yeah. So we have 3 registered dietitians who are part of our team. Their work is critical. They are really paying attention to the nutritional needs that are associated with each of the medical conditions that we're supporting. So, for example, someone with chronic kidney disease, depending on where they are in their journey with chronic kidney disease, they will actually have to modify their diet over time. And so our registered dietitians are making sure that the recipes that our amazing Chief Food Services Officer is creating, that those meals are meeting the dietary requirements for each of these conditions. So it is very specific. Now, there's certainly more general nutritional security that we're addressing, but for each of our medical conditions, we're making sure that we're giving the right food at the right time.
That's incredible.
Yeah, when you think about this and the organizations that are working with folks, I imagine the overwhelming majority of your clients are seniors. Is that correct?
About half of our
only half.
clients.
Okay, interesting.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
I would have thought higher than that. Okay, and certainly they have their own needs, and there's some wonderful groups that we work with seniors out here. Paul's Downey's group,
Yes.
serving seniors and so forth.
Yes.
And one of the things, and you've had experience in this with family health centers, San Diego, when we actually put our mind to it, okay, sometimes we don't do that as well, but when we do, and we all row in the same direction, a lot of great stuff happens. Talk about that.
Oh, I couldn't have said it better. Rowing together is exactly what we do when we're all focused on our missions. And, we are very fortunate to be in San Diego, where we have networks of community clinics, social service providers, other community organizations that really connect with one another. I mean, we have hundreds of partners, and we really consider them partners. We are making sure that we are referring back and forth. We know that if we have a client that we're serving who has financial challenges or had not enrolled in their SNAP benefits or other benefits, we know who we can go to get them the help that they need. And if they're socially isolated, we can help connect them with organizations that can help them pull out of that social isolation.
Yeah, and that's huge. One of the premises of starting our Spotlight show 18 years ago was to work with organizations like yours or highlight organizations like yours. But what the question is, who else are you collaborating with? And we all know if you're not collaborating, and then ball game over, you're going to die a slow, painful death or a quick death in your silo, and that's what's going to happen. And it's cool to see over 18 years there's so many folks that are really actually working together on these things with some, challenges in that area. What can our listeners do in terms of volunteers? Do you ever have enough volunteers?
I think the answer to that is no.
Right.
Yes, we could always we can always take on more volunteers, and I'll be honest, from what I hear from the volunteers that I've met, they are getting so much out of this experience as well that it's something that I would like to invite your listeners to really consider joining us with, because we have different ways to volunteer, as you say.
Right. And even going on a ride along, so to speak, like you did with Alberto, and getting some experience on this. One of the things that Kristen ruse the day that she decided to be my co-host, because I've always have her doing 4 million things outside of her work as executive director. But why don't you do a ride along?
I would love to. Yeah, I'd love to learn more about what y'all do, and I think it's so important. And food is medicine, and that has been kind of like at the forefront of what I've been thinking a lot as I enter a new decade lately, and having a young person. So yeah, I would love to.
Right, exactly.
We would welcome that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So our volunteers will take on routes. You can actually adopt a route if you like, and be that person who has a particular route over time.
Yeah.
We encourage people to consider coming with a friend to volunteer, because it is lovely to be able to do routes together or to work in the kitchen together, to pack bags or meals, do meal plating. There are many different types of volunteer opportunities, and our staff can help pair you with the right opportunity.
No, that's great. We're chatting with Eva Matthews. She is the CEO of Mama's Kitchen. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest running community podcast. Here, broadcast by Cloudcast Media and sponsored by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing wonderful things for many, many years, more than 60 years in San Diego County, including supporting groups like Mama's Kitchen and everything in between, joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel, is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc., celebrating their 20th anniversary. Combines hey to Kristen, you'll find them in Liberty Station. They've got a whole bunch of cool events going on this year, celebrating that 20th year. With this aspect, there's always challenges. You have a shortage of, there's about 80 families we could serve, or 100 more people, or 200 if we had the resources. Is there a waiting list, so to speak?
For our services, no. We do not keep a waiting list. What we try to do is to maintain an ongoing sort of connection with all of our referral partners and to keep people kind of moving through that process. And it takes a lot of effort. The team is amazing who does that work, our client services team. But it is an unending process. And so we have actually grown our team to meet that need.
No, that's so critical. What challenges do you see in the future?
I think that the challenge with trying to meet need that outstrips what is present, the need to grow, it does necessitate that we have funding, flexible funding in some cases because we want to be innovative where we need to try new approaches.
Unrestricted, right?
Exactly. So, we really do appreciate and value the engagement of the community in supporting Mama's Kitchen, both through volunteering and through becoming a supporter, whether it's a one-time donor or a monthly donor. There are many ways to support the organization.
Yeah, without question. Kristen?
Yeah, I had a question about, do you have... So I kind of stupidly thought, I think, that Mama's Kitchen was a national organization. Do you have tentacles other places, or do you have a network where you can see best practices or share information, or people here can tap into those resources?
So we are a locally based nonprofit providing services around San Diego County. That being said, we actually are a part of two organizations or larger coalitions, as it were. One is the California Food as Medicine Coalition. And we are a group of nonprofit providers of medically tailored meals. And we work together to really understand best practices that relate specifically to providing this service in California, because it is different in each state.
Yeah, sure.
And then we are also part of, the founding group of members of the National Food as Medicine Coalition. And so that group has been really on the forefront of developing standards that are associated with the services we provide, providing some advocacy work at the national level because we need to continue to promote the work that we do. But absolutely, we have been closely working with other community-based organizations across the country.
No, that's great. How closely do you work with our food banks in San Diego?
We work closely with all of our nonprofit nutrition and food security organizations insofar as making sure that we are referring appropriately, because there will be needs that are not met by one organization but can be met by another. Sure. So we're always going to be supporting one another in that endeavor. Right.
And we know that food insecurity continues to be a major issue in San Diego County. I think it surprises a lot of people that aren't in this space. And, well, what do you mean? People go to bed hungry? Yeah, try hundreds of thousands in San Diego County. And people wouldn't think about it. That's why programs like Mama's Kitchen, obviously, and all the other great ones, you cannot, talk about them enough. Any final comments? What can we do? What can we continue to do to do great things for you?
Thank you for asking. I would go back to the grounding in our mission and our need to, bring in more volunteers to the work that we do. I think it's a really special aspect of our community connection. So I would encourage folks to visit mamaskitchen.org to learn how to do that. And also, if people are interested in becoming supporters, we welcome that as well. And, come and visit us during our events such as Mama's Day, which happens every spring. This year on May 3rd, 2024, we will be having Mama's Day. We also have Mama's Pies at Thanksgiving. And
that is a great event, by the way. Thank you very much.
Yes. And as well as our Tree of Life ceremony to commemorate World AIDS Day each year. So we invite all of those ways to engage, and definitely, for those who would like to donate, please visit mamaskitchen.org.
Well, listen, it's been a delight chatting with you. Eva, this will not be the last interview. You promised me that you'll come back and join Kristen and I on a show down the road and bring in a volunteer. Or maybe if somebody is mobile and somebody that benefits from the services as well. There's nothing better than shouting out, here are the folks that are benefiting from what you guys are doing.
I would love to do that. Thank you so much.
Consider that a done deal. Eva Matthews, what a pleasure meeting you. CEO of Mama's Kitchen, I'm Drew Schlosberg. As you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades, doing terrific work for us folk here in San Diego County. Kristen Fogel, always a pleasure having you co-host. Once again, I'm proud of myself for adding more work to your schedule.
Thanks so much for that.
My pleasure, anytime. We hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.